has been working around the clock, ensuring that the solutions to the problem are being found, as well as developing an action plan that will ensure that the service delivery returns to its normality. So today's media briefing is to update members of the media, update members of the public on the progress that has been made, as well as to shed light in terms of the municipalities action plan, fast track, Mayor is being accompanied by the members of the executive, which is the chairperson of the Human Capital, Bob Mandala. Thank you, Bob Mandala, for being part of today's media briefing, as well as the municipality whip, Umama Patience, Shabi, Sabonama, to join in the media briefing. There's a city manager, Babu Bele. We thank you, Babu Bele, for being part of the media briefing, as well as other colleagues who are here from communication, as well as other I saw Umar in the office for training services. I think Sapumile will be joining us later on. So with that, colleagues, we are welcome and we thank you for your patience. The media briefing was supposed to start earlier on due to other engagement that the leadership was involved in. So we had to postpone the media briefing to start now, but we appreciate your patience and your understanding in that regard. Without any further ado, I will invite Babu Mayor to read his statement, then later on we'll do with our sitting questions.
Thank you. Do I need to open this? Thank you very much. Our acting head of communication, Mr. Mandla Ntsele. Let me also greet Councillor Madlala, who's the Chair of Governance and Human Capital, our Whip of the Council, Councillor Sishange, and our City Manager, Mr. Musambele, and all other officials present and the members of the media. I want to take this opportunity to greet the residents of eThekwini and express our sincere apology for all the inconvenience that they had to endure during this illegal industrial action in our city, and also greet the members of the media who have joined us here today and virtually. This media briefing has been convened to give an update on the program of action to restore basic services following a prolonged illegal strike by workers affiliated to the South African Municipal Workers Union, SAMU. We are meeting at a time when the municipality is facing a massive service delivery backlog due to the illegal industrial action by some affiliated employees. Ladies and gentlemen, as you may be aware, that this strike has not only crippled service delivery citywide, but it has also been accompanied by violent acts of criminality which have resulted in loss of life and injuries to some of our staff members. It will be appropriate at this point to convey our heartfelt condolences to the family of Ms. Kunene, who was a supervisor at a cemetery and the crematoria department in Umlazi, who passed away over the weekend. I'm coming from that family just now to express our heartfelt condolences. We were warmly received by the family, but we also had to leave our words of comfort to the family for their loss, and their loss is also our loss as a city and the community of eThekwini. Our prayers are with her family during this difficult period of bereavement. We trust that the police will speed up the investigations so that perpetrators of this crime are brought to book. We also want to wish all those who were injured during this unprotected industrial action a speedy recovery. We are aware of the shootings that took place, especially in our electricity unit, where our employees were shot at, and we are happy to report that they were injured, but they are still surviving. Their lives were not robbed of their lives. We are also aware that the police are investigating 2 cases of attempted murder in this regard. As the leadership of the city, we have strongly condemned these incidents which border on criminality, and we have asked the law to take its course on those who are implicated. It must be clear that we will not allow vandalism of infrastructure and attacks on non-striking employees, because we are of a firm view that while we exercise our right to strike, we must never infringe on the rights of others, especially the community who have been denied access to water and electricity and other essential services. Ladies and gentlemen, since the strike began on the 27th of February, the municipality has not been able to fulfill its mandate to provide some of the most basic to the residents, basic services to our residents. Furthermore, we have been unable to attend to service delivery complaints, including electricity faults, water interruption, and refuse removal. However, following the intervention from all spheres of government, we are pleased that the negotiations with SAMU have resumed, and a memorandum was issued by the union on Monday directing its members to return to work. They started yesterday. As of yesterday, we have started to see the majority of employees returning to work, particularly at the engineering, electricity, and water and sanitation units. We are confident that today the number has increased, which gives us hope that the service delivery challenges we have been facing will now be resolved. Ladies and gentlemen, to date, 81 employees are on precautionary suspension for misconduct committed during the illegal strike, while 1,891 employees have been given notices of misconduct, and 88 employees have been dismissed for their participation in the unlawful industrial action which started on the 27th of February 2024. The city manager will go through the details of this as the head of administration. Disciplinary hearings for the 81 suspended employees have been scheduled for the following dates: 13th, 14th, 15th, and the 18th of March 2024. We are aware that one of the criminal cases is taking place in one of the courts today. We'll be following those developments. Ladies and gentlemen, the disciplinary proceedings being instituted by the municipality are governed by the South African Local Government Bargaining Council Disciplinary Procedure Collective Agreement. All steps taken are in line with the provisions of the collective agreement. It is important to mention that since the strike began, both the political leadership and the administration have not been resting on their laurels, but have worked tirelessly to ensure that the residents of eThekwini access basic services. Since last week, a team of 300 volunteers has been put together to clean the Durban Central Business District, which is our CBD, and secondary CBDs such as Pantown, Sipingo, Verulam, Otongat, and Hillcrest. Priority has been given to healthcare facilities and businesses. We anticipate that we'll be able to clear the waste backlog within 2 weeks, especially in the vast southern region of the city from Umlazi up to Umkomazi. We are pleased that a resumption of refuse removal services has started with 80% of our depots fully operational. The provincial government, in collaboration with the private sector and the city, have embarked on a massive cleanup operation. This will see over 3,500 community development workers taking part in this initiative. This will bring a good number of volunteers that will be deployed in all corners of the municipality to clean areas that are worst affected by the strike. These efforts are being supported by the engagement of already existing contractors who have also started to reduce the waste collection backlog that we have experienced. Councillors of the city will fully participate tomorrow in this cleanup campaign. Regarding electricity, we are pleased to report that our teams have been able to reduce electricity fault from 80 to 50 as of yesterday. And work continues to attend to all affected areas such as West Ham, Dube Village, Amaoti, Westmead, services to the assistance we have received from law enforcement agencies and private securities who are playing a very key role in escorting our communities. Those are our heroes and heroines. Since some of our water infrastructure, such as receive water through water tanks. However, for now, we are putting greater focus on schools, clinics, and hospitals. To finding a permanent solution to this challenge as part of our effort to resolve key issues that have been raised by workers. On Monday, we had a meeting with the Minister of Culture on 14 days to do this work and to compile a report to the Minister. We want to appeal to members of the community to be patient as we have started already to restore basic services in their respective areas. We fully understand their frustration from blockading roads because it poses yet another challenge to our already strained resources. When roads are blocked with burning tires, our community safety structures such as community policing forums and neighborhood watches who have been supporting law enforcement agents, social partners, we are all committed to bringing the situation in the city to normalcy. And we are confident that the engagements we have started will all affect our employment program, PEP, due to financial constraints by national government. We are pleased to announce that last week, the full council of eThekwini Municipality approved an adjustment. Now, the other matter which have drawn the eyes of the public, and there have been many marches around the city about this matter, insourcing of external cleaning services and security services. Regarding the insourcing of security and cleaning services, after the municipality explored various options which proved to be unaffordable, it was proposed during yesterday's full council sitting that the city manager promptly explores the implementation of social enterprise models. This model entails organizing cleaners and security guards into cooperatives and social enterprises, and the municipality will source these services directly from them. As the leadership of the municipality, we fully support the decent work. We are against the workers' exploitation. We support the decent work agenda and better treatment for vulnerable workers in our city. We have given the city manager and his team 3 months to explore that new intervention so that we become responsive to the plight of those security guards and those who are cleaners in the city. Of course, it's not going to be an umbrella approach. It's going to be staggered and be phased in different processes. The other one which have been on the public discourse, a union on the permanent employment of those that are part of the expanded public works program, the EPWP. That matter was conciliated, which have also been a very grave concern from the residents of eThekwini. In an effort to curb water losses and ensure that residents are billed time and date stamp, all meters found and read during the reading cycle are also logged on waste management plan. The council approved the transfer of a portion of land to the local community. This approval paves the way for the commencement of the establishment of the biggest landfill site in the city that will reduce the waste to landfill and minimize the cost of waste management in our city. The project will also support effective waste management linked to climate change mitigation and adaptation through reducing waste entering the environment. Currently, the municipality has allocated 100 million rands for the construction of bulk infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, we remain committed to ensuring that services are fully restored within the municipality, and we want to amplify our plea to our residents to work with us and desist from embarking on violent protest, as this delays our teams from responding to service delivery complaints which they've raised with us. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
umbiko asethe wasethulela wona waqinisekisa umsebenzi oswenziwe ukubuyisela izisebenza endaweni efanelekile. Kuliqophelo colleagues, I will invite our mayor to give us a brief overview of the statement and just a summary to capture what is contained in the statement.
Sifisa ukuthatha leli thuba sibingelele kubahlali baseThekwini, siphinde futhi sixolise ngosizi ababhekane nalo lokungalethwa kwezidingo ngendlela ekulindeleke ngayo nejwayelekile emphakathini yaseThekwini. Lokhu ke kwenziwa umbhikisho obungekho emthethweni. Sibingelele ke nakuba phathi bezindaba bakhona abafowethu bemedia. Sithi ke lesi sithangami sabe indaba sisibizele ukuthi sinikeze umphakathi wakethu umbiko ngokuthi yini eyenzakalayo njengamanje, imapha amagxathu athathiwe ukuqinisekisa ukuthi nakuba sikhona lesi strike esiphazamisa ukusebenza kwedolobha siholwa iSouth African Municipal Workers Union SAMU, kodwa kukhona umsebenzi oqhubekile wakwazi ukwenzeka. Sihlangana ke la esikhathini khona umasipala wakithi ubhekene nalengqinamba egcineke isiyenza ukuthi kube khona ukusilela emumva kakhulu ngokudlulisa kwezidingo emphakathini. Njengoba sonke ke sazi nje ukuthi i-strike asigcinanga kuphela ngokuthi sikhinyabeze ukudluliswa kwezidingo emphakathini, kodwa sibe nayo inhlese yodlame oligcine lelo dlame ke selisiphuca nomphefumulo omunye wabasebenzi bethu, abanye balinyazwa akade bekhona bezama ukuthi beyodlulisa izidingo emphakathini. Kubalekile ke ukuthi sidlulise amazwi ethenduduzo emndenini wakwakunene, udadewethu kunene obe usupervisor lapha kuma cemeteries kwa PRC ngokudlula kwakhe emhlabeni ngeweekend. Ngiphuma khona emndenini ukuyodluliswa amazwi enduduzo emndenini wakwakunene ngalesi sehlakalo abayithole sebebhekene naso. Sithi ke akwehlanga lungehli uNkulunkulu abaqinise emaphoyiseni ukuthi azokwenza konke okusemandleni, ngoba kufuneka isiqagule, kodwa amaphoyisa afanele enze uphenyo olusezingeni eliphezulu uqiniseka dakalayo kulesi sigameko sokubulawa komsebenzi bayabhekana nengalo yomthetho. Sifuna ke ukufisela bonke labo balimele ukuthi belulame ngokusheshsha. Siyaziwe sebephinde babuyela futhi emsebenzini baqhubeka nokusebenza ukudlulisa izidingo emphakathini. Siyazi ukuthi amaphoyisa ayaphenya ngalezi zigameko ze-attempted murder kulabasebenzi abalinyazwa. Manager lapha eThekwini shaya abanye babasebenzi. Njengobuholi ke bedolobha laseThekwini sikuhlaba kakhulu sikugxeke ngayo yonke indlela esingagxeka ngayo zonke lezi zigameko ezenzakalile, kakhulukazi ezifaka ubugebengu phakathi, ngoba futhi asikho isiteleke efanele kuthiwa sivimbela abantu bengatholi amanzi nogesi, abantu bengayitholi izidingo, amaklinikhi avalwe, kungakwazi ukusetshenzwa. Konke ke lokhu kusho ukuthi bese kukhona ubugebengu, element yobugebengu ebekhona phakathi kwakho. Ukulinyazwa kwenqalasizinda yethu ukwenza ukuthi kuphazamise ukudlulisa kwezidingo kubantu kanye nokuxoshwa kwalabo akade bethatha isinqumo sokuthi bengabe khona esitelekeni. Siyalihlonipha ilungelo labasebenzi lokulwela amalungelo abo. Siyawahlonipha amalungelo omphakathi ekumele engacindezelwa ilungelo labasebenzi ukuthi umphakathi uhlinzekwe ngezidingo ozilindele emkhandlweni waseThekwini. Ngakho kubalekile ukuthi ilungelo lomphakathi siwabeke oqhulwini. Bafowethu nanibodadewethu, njengoba sazi ukuthi i-strike umbhikisho uqala emhla ka-27 February. Umasipala ke wethu azange uhlale phansi. Kuthe mangabe kuqala lembhikisho sasukuma, sasebenza ngokukhulu ukuzimisela uqinisekisa ukuthi iyinkinga abantu bakithi abazibikayo siyakwazi ukuphendula kuzona, nakuba singazange senze ngokuphelelisiweyo ukuthi sidlulise zonke izidingo ngendlela ekulindeleke ngayo. Kodwa ke futhi siyakubeka ukuthi emva kokuthi kungeneleleke izigaba ezahlukene zikahulumeni waseNingizimu Afrika, uhulumeni kazwelonke wesifunda bambisene noSAMO sikwazile ukuhlala phansi zabuyiselwa ingxoxo kwaxoxwa ukuthi kuboniswana isimo kwesijwayelekile. Ingakho ke kuze kwaholela ekuthenini iunion ikhipha imemorandum enikezela bonke abasebenzi ngolwazi beSAMO ukuthi bonke izolo ababuyele emsebenzini. Kusukela ke izolo sikwazile ukubona sikhule isibalo sabasebenzi ababuyayo emsebenzini nakwabanye behlezi emadepo bengasebenzi, kodwa namhlanje sibonile ukuthi sikhulile isibalo abasebenzi baqalile ukwenza umsebenzi eindaweni ezahlukahlukene athi kuzoqhubeka ku-improve ukuhlinzeka kwezidingo kubantu bakithi kuthuthuke kuye phambili. Kakhulukazi sibonile kwabakwa-engineering, abakwa-gesi, abakwa-water and sanitation neminye iminyango. Sinalo-ke ithemba lokuthi konke lokhu nomonakalo osuwenzakalile sizokwazi ukubambisana nabasebenzi ukuthi sihlinzeke izidingo kubantu bakithi, silungise isimo esonakele esisibonile senzeka ngalesi sikhathi. Kukhona-ke abazothathelwa inyathelo, sikhuluma nje abawu-81 basuspendiwe babekwe eceleni kumasipala ngenhloso yokuthi bakwazi ukuqondana nemigudu yokuphulwa kwemithetho elawula ukuziphatha kwabasebenzi ngaphakathi kumasipala. Mase kuthi-ke abanye abawu-1891 banikezwe ama-notices misconduct ukuthi bengasiphathi kahle. Mase kuthi abawu-88 banikezwa-ke izincwadi ezithi-ke bayakhishwa kumasipala ngokuyibandakanya nalesi umbhikisho ongekho emthethweni lo osowenzeke kusukela mhla ka-27. Ngakho-ke sekuhleliwe insuku zalabo abawu-81 ukuthi beze ngaphambili ekuqondisweni igwegwe. Bazoke sebeya-ke ngomhla ka-13 kuze kuyosha umhla ka-18 kuMarch 2024. Shuthi sekuqaliwe-ke ukuthi kubhekwane nokuqondiswa kwegwegwe. Siyazi-ke ukuthi yonke into esiyenzayo ilawulwa i-South African Local Government Bargaining Council Disciplinary Procedure Collective Agreement enziwa ngaphandle kokuyalelwa ngalesi sivumelwano esithathwe inhlaka zonke esisetshenziswayo ukuthi sibhekane nokuqondiswa kwegwegwe kubasebenzi. Kubalulekile-ke futhi kusemqoka strike saqala mhla 27. Ubuholi-ke bomkhandlu nabasebenzi beholo city manager azange kuphumule neze uqinisekisa ukuthi sibuyisela izidingo kubantu. Lo msebenzi-ke esiwenze nangokuthi sithola ama-volunteer u-300 ebelekelela ukuklinwa kwedolobha kakhulukazi kwinhloko dolobha nakuyindawo ezifana njengakoSiphingo, koPantown, Verulam, koThongati and Hillcrest. Kodwa besibeke kakhulu oqhulwini ezempilo, ama-facilities zethu ezempilo kanjalo namabhizinisi nemiphakathi eyakhelele izindawo. Ngakho-ke sibona ukuthi kungase kusithatha amaviki amabili ukuthi siqinisekise kakhulukazi ey'ndaweni ey'nkulu njengomlazi ko-South ukuthi kuqinisekise ukuthi wonke udoti obungabuthekile ngendlela ukwazi ukuqoqwa iy'ndawo zethu y'buyele esimeni senhlanzeko esilindelekile. Siyajabula-ke ukuthi ukubuyela-ke kokusebenza kokuqoqwa kadoti sekuqalile futhi hlezi ku-80% ngokwamadepo onke akhona edolobheni lethu ukuthi umsebenzi wenziwe. Uhulumeni wesifundazwe ubambisene ne-private sector nomasipala weTheku ulungiselela ukuba sembhidlangweni omkhulu wokuthi kuhlanzwe idolobha lethu. Le operation, clean up operation enkulu izoba kusasa, which will see more than 3,500 abangaphezu kwa-3,500 abazobamba iqhaza kona namakhansela aseThekwini. Nomphakathi uyamenywa ukuthi ujoyine ekutheni uzolekelela ozobe unalo ithuba. Lokho kuzosho ukuthi ama-volunteers azoyemaningi kakhulu ehlinzekele ukuthi abhekane nazo zonke indawo ingxenye zedolobha uqinisekisa ukuthi idolobha lethu liyabuyela esimweni. Konke-ke lokhu sikwenza ngoba siyazi kunama contractors amanye appointiwe nabazobe beqhubeka aseqalile ukuqhubeka enze umsebenzi awuqashelwe umasipala. Ngokugagesi ziningi indawo ezithintekile, ezinye sesizilungisile ebeyikade zingaphandle isikhathi eside efana no-Adams noMbumbulu seyibuyelile, zisasilele emumva ezinye indawo koMashu, koDube Village, West Ham, eMawoti, eWestmead, Claremont, kwaNdengezi neMorningside. Zikhona-ke nezinye ezisasilele ngemumva esizoyibuyisela ugesi ngokukhulu ukushesha njengoba sekuqaliwe ukusetshenzwa namhlanje. Abasebenzi bazosebenza ngokukhulu ukuzikhandla ukuthi lezi indawo zibuyelwe ugesi ngokukhulu ukushesha. Sifisa ukudlulisa ukuxolisa kuyonke lemphakathi ithintekile ngoba siyazi iziyangena embhikishweni ngoba izwakalisa ilakalayo ukuthi sekuhambe isikhathi eside kakhulu bengenawo ugesi namanzi kulezi indawo. Siyazi-ke ukuthi ama-pump ethu nama-reservoirs ethu amanye bethintekile, so kungase kuthathe isikhathi amanye ama-reservoirs ukuthi agcwale afinyelele ezingeni lokugcwala kahle ukuze kuqala amanzi ahlinzekele umphakathi. Sicela abantu bakithi besibekezelele, yingakho sokuqhubeka nama-water tankers aqhubeke aye endaweni iy'moto zamanzi ziyolekelela umphakathi lapho kuseney'nkinga ngikhona. Sibeke phambili-ke oqhulwini lethu iy'kole namaklinikhi nezibhedlela ngoba siyazi ukuthi ezinye zey'ndawo ezikhinyabezeke kakhulu ngokudlulisela kwalezi zidingo. Sifisa-ke ukuthi sinikeze umphakathi waseThekwini isiqinisekiso sokuthi noma kanjani sizodlula kule simo esibhekene naso. Okunye kuyingxenye zemisebenzi esiwenzayo uqinisekisa-ke ukuthi siyagijimisa uhlelo lokubuyiselwa kwezidingo kubantu. Uminister wakwaCOGTA kube sekhanda ithimba elizokwazi ukuhlalisa sonke sikwazi ukuthi within 14 days kuphuma umbiko ozoya kuminister ukuthi izingxoxo zihamba kanjani ukusuka manje kuya phambili. Sifisa-ke ukucela kumalungu omphakathi ukuthi nakuba sazi isimo sinje kodwa ungenelela imbhikisho, kushiswa amathayi, kuvalwa imigwaqo ngamatshe nangakho konke kubeka impela abasebenzi esithe manje abaphume ngelikhulu ijubane beye emphakathini beyobuyisela lezi zidingo zomphakathi, amanzi nogesi kanye nezinye izidingo. Manje-ke imbhikisho izophazamisa lelo hlelo. Siyacela kubantu bakithi, siyaxolisa, siyazehlisa ukuthi sonile ukuthi izidingo engahlinzekwa ngendlela kodwa ngendlela ejwayelekile. Sifisa ukubonga kakhulu kulabo abama-policy community policing forums, ama-neighborhood watch akhona emphakathini yethu, ama-private security companies, imiphakathi eyisukumele yona yaqala uklina iy'ndawo zawo njengako-Westville. Yonke lo mphakathi sifisa ukuyibonga kakhulu ngegxalaba elifakile ukuthi isimo edolobheni lethu sibuyele endaweni ejwayelekile. Sifisa lokubambisana kungapheli manje, siqhubeke nokubambisana ngoba leli dolobho kuze likhule lidlondlobale libuyele esimweni esasiyilo. Sidinga wonke umuntu, asidinga uhulumeni kuphela, sonke asibambisane kuya phambili. Ngifisa nje ukudlula kafushane ngohlelo lwe-Public Employment Program i-PEP. Siyazi sonke ukuthi baningi abawulusha lwethu akade bebambe iqhaza kulolu hlelo esalimisa lo cleaning ngedolobha lisemqoka ekulungiseni imigwaqo yethu, lisemqoka ekusukeni kotshani nezinye izidingo zomphakathi. Ngakho-ke bonke bayazi ukuthi besikujabulela umsebenzi akade bewenzela umasipala waseThekwini. Ingalesi sizathu-ke esenze ukuthi umasipala waseThekwini nakuba lolu kuuhlelo lukamongameli kazwelonke kodwa nathi sibone kubalulekile ukuthi masenze adjustment budget umkhandlu omkhulu waseThekwini ube sewuthatha isinqumo ngesikhathi wenze adjustment budget ukuthi 5 million rands ukuthi lolu hlelo lubuyeliswe ekutheni lusebenze, shithi livuselelwe ngoba lalingamisi lalingayosibeka ekupheleni kukaJune mase siyakwazi ukuthi siqale unyaka wemali omusha nalolu hlelo oluhle kangaka. Ngakho sibonga kakhulu ukubekezela zonke inhlelo ukuthi kuzoqalwa kanjani ukubuyelwa kulolu hlelo. Okunye-ke ukufaka phakathi ukuthi kuqashwe ngokugcwele umasipala wethu nokudlulisa usizo lezokuvikeleka i-security. the insourcing. Lolu hlelo ke kwathatha isinqumo umasipala ukuthi ucity manager wanikezwe 3 months bekisise kahle umthelela lolu hlelo lingase libe nalo makuthiwa insoswa wonke umuntu egcine efakwe ngaphansi kamasipala. Ngakho ke ucity wabuyisile umbiko ku full council ebihlezi izolo yomkhandlu umhlangano wesigungu sikamasipala esikhulu lapho ke obe usuncoma khona ukuthi hayi njengamanje sihlezi la ku 1.3 billion ngokwalama outsource services. Uma ngabe sewufuna ukubaqasha babuyise bonke beqashwe umasipala ungase ugcine usudinga imali elapho ko 4 billion ukubaqasha ngokuphelele kumasipala waseThekwini. Ngakho ke lokhu kusho ukuthi fanele ukwazi ukubalansisa ukuthi isimo sakho sephakethe simkanjani njengomasipala kanti nemigomo nje elawula ukuqashwa kwamasipala uyilandele kahle ukuthi ithi akungadlulwa kule threshold hlezi ku 26,000 ukwenzela ukuthi imali kamasipala noma ibudget kamasipala ingagcini seyikhokhela abasebenzi kunokuthi yenze izidingo zomphakathi. Ngakho kubalekile ukuthi umasipala ubheke konke lokho. Sibe municipal manager awubekile kuthina city manager sase sathi ke abayobheka enye indlela engcono yokuthi noma singeze ukubaqasha beqashwe ngokuphelele umasipala kodwa sibanikezele ithuba kwezomnotho futhi ithuba lokuthi bengaxhaphazwa inkampani eziyimele ngokuthi bona sibafake kuma cooperatives sibafake ima social enterprises kube yibona ngokwabo abazideterminelayo ukuthi umholo wabo uzoba mngakanani ama benefits azoba njani bese bebhila umasipala sebenzisane nabo okusho ke usizi lwabo lokubukeka bexhaphazeka kakhulukazi ngasemaholweni njengoba nathi esinganeme neze futhi singahambisani nakho ukuthi kwenzeke lokho kodwa kubalekile ukuthi abantu sibhekele isithunzi sabo sibhekelele ukuthi ingxenye yomphakathi waseNingizimu Afrika efana uhlomule kwezomnotho. Ngakho ke lelo hlelo simnikeza omunye 3 months city manager ukuthi akabuye nombiko ke manje ukuthi luzokwenzeka kanjani ngoba nalo ngeke uma usuku lwenze nje uqala lonke idolobha fanele uqale kancane ulifake ulitest liyasebenza imapha ama weaknesses akhona ama shortcomings alo mase yakwazi ukuliqhubezela phambili. Ngakho ke sibambisene nawo sivumeleneke ukuthi cha siyawemukela lo mbiko ukuthi kusetshenzwe kiwe phambili. Ngifisa ke ukuvala ngele iPWP kuzokhumbuleka ukuthi ukhona umsindo khona ngokuthi nabo abe iPWP bademand ukuthi baqashwe ngokuphelele umasipala waseThekwini. Udaba ke belikade lulapha kweCCMA for lolu daba kwangaba khona ke isivumelwano kulona ingakho manje selidlulile seliqhubekele phambili ku full arbitration lapho ke olizoqedelwa khona. Ngakho sinxusa ukuthi sivala ngama meter readings kuzokhumbuleka ukuthi kuye kwaba nengxaki enkulu yokungafundwa kwamamitha eThekwini kakhulukazi amanzi nogesi. Lokhu ke bekwenziwa ukuthi icontract igcine ingangenile ngokusheshsha. Siyajabula ke ukubika ukuthi njengamanje iphothuliwe icontract mhla ka13 Disemba kube nomthelelo omuhle kakhulu ukuthi uma ubheka kahle izindle seyikwazi ukuvakashelwa kuyofundwa amamitha kuzona zingaphezulu kwa 500,000 ngendlela efanele ngoba amamitha afundiwe. Mase ke lokho kusithatha kususe ku 22% ungafundwa kwamamitha kusibeke ku 75.5%. Kakhulu futhi ekhombisa ukuthi kukhulu ukuthuthuka esesibe nakho kulungiseni lenkinga. Labo ke abasilele ngemuva ba 127,793 kunokwenza kube yilezi izathile bezoyifunda lo mitha. Bukhulu ubuchwepheshe sibufakile nakhona lapha sizama ukuthi sithuthukise izinga lokubhilwa kwabantu bakithi eThekwini. Sesize saba nane app entsha esi-introduce ngaphezulu kwa 35,000 asebeyisebenzisa leyo app yaseThekwini ekwazi ukuthi ikunikeze ukuthi ukwazi ukubheka ibhili yakho, ikwazi futhi ukwazi ukukhokhela ibhili yakho, ukwazi nokudlulisa izikhalo ngezinye izidingo obona sengathi ayidluliswa kahle eThekwini. iShongweni landfill site kuzokhumbuleka ukuthi sithatha isikhathi kodwa siyajabula ukubika ukuthi sikwazile ukuba nomhlangano nomkhosi nomphakathi wamawadi athintekalayo Ward 7 namanye savumelana ukuthi lo msebenzi awuqale kwadluliselwa umkhandlu uthatha isinqumo sokuthi kube khona iportion yomhlaba edluliselwa basemangangeni ukwenza ukuthi ubukhosi busebenzise leyo mhlaba. Ngakho ke sijabula kakhulu ukuthi nenkosi nomkhandlu wayo nomphakathi sibambisene nabo ekutheni iqhutsheke lapha eThekwini ithuthuke ngoba ilona hlelo lizoba likhulu kakhulu nesikhungo okuyisona esamukela uDoti umthamo omkhulu kakhulu eThekwini. Lokhu kuzonciphisa izindleko zamatraka ahamba amabanga amade aya koLovu nakwezinye indawo koBuffalo Dry. Ngakho ke lo msebenzi sibona uzothuthukisa kakhulu ekuhlelekeni kokubutho kaDoti. Sikhipheke imali noma sihlinzeke u100 million ukuthi kuqale kusetshenzwe kwakhiwe lapha nomphakathi uzothola amathuba okuqashwa, ulusha lizothola amathuba okutrain ukuqeqeshwe, osomabhizinisi bendawo bazothola amathuba ezomnotho uma sekwenziwa lo msebenzi omkhulu kangaka. Futhi lo msebenzi uqhamuke kahle kunalentuthuko enkulu ethiwa iWest Town esiyenza eduze kwawo ukwakhiwa kwaleya mall enkulu yakhiwa lapha eShongweni, ukwakhiwa kwesibhedlela iprivate hospital, ukwakhiwa kwama-residential unit. Nami bengisayikhumbuza nje ukuthi konje olikaMageba libekwa kanjani ngendlela efanele. Ngiyabonga. Ngizophendula-ke la Sompisi Bhalani bafowethu.
You know, DSW strikes have now become an annual, if not biannual thing. It's nothing new, and the results are always the same. The Municipal System Act allows waste services to be contracted out to area-based non-profits. Why has this never been looked at as a viable option? And then will the city honour rebates from residents who have not received waste removal for 3 weeks? If not, why not? How much are you seeking in damages from the union? And please tell us a little bit more about how Ms. Kunene was killed. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number one.
I think mine is adding on to the damages that Liz was talking about. Can you tell us maybe the monetary value of the damage and which key infrastructure was
All right. Thank you. Three.
How much is being spent on private independent contractors, and what are these contractors exactly doing?
Sorry, Mandla. They are moving very fast. I'm trying to capture, so that I don't miss any question.
Okay.
So if they can please go slowly.
So the first question was...
Sorry. If I can try to recap, from the Mail and Guardian, they've asked a question about why is the outsourcing of waste removal not being done.
No, sir, it was the Municipal Systems Act allows waste services to be contracted out to area-based non-profits. Why is this not being seen as a viable alternative? Because every year we have the same thing with DSW, which can basically be seen as a criminal organization.
The second one was, will there be any rebate for the date,
Yes,
for
yeah.
the time when the
If not,
refuse
why not?
was not connected?
And then the third one, how much are you seeking in damages from the union?
Yeah.
I have plenty more.
No. The last one was how
How much
was how was Miss Kunene
How was
killed?
Ms. Kunene killed?
All right. Then yours was linked to the damages in monetary value, so it's a repeat question. Yours was damages
Ketuk
in monetary value, Ketuk Tool. So you will be covered when we respond to the third question of the Mail and Guardian. Thank you. Let's move.
No. Yes, repeat.
Mine was with regards to the independent contractors, how much is that from the municipality, and exactly what are those contractors doing?
So, queries were raised by residents last
think for now that we will invite the officials who sit down there to respond to the question.
Yes, if we can proceed.
So do I need to move this thing? Or can I speak from here?
Yeah, Bawana Matisele now.
All right. Thank you very much for those questions. I'm going to request Mr. Makanya to speak on the outsourcing of waste to contracted area-based non-profit organizations. So you will speak to that. On the rebate, I will respond to that, but I want to start with the question on the damages in the monetary value, which has been raised twice. We are still doing the costing of the damages. That's why we didn't want to go to court with a ballpark figure just based on thumbs-up information. We just want to check what is the damage on infrastructure, how many water hydrants have been hit, how much does it cost to replace those. We want to see to it that all our assets that have been hit, from movable ones to the immovable ones, we want to go and basically do a proper assessment of what the damages were before we proceed with the civil litigation claim. So the last we checked, million rands, that was a couple of days ago, but we suspect that it's a lot more than that. So we want to go with a realistic figure to be able to check that. Then the question on how Ms. Kunene was killed, I'm sure you know, is a very unfair question because the matter is still being investigated by the police. All we know that grave diggers from Unit 17 cemeteries to Section S cemetery precinct when she was accosted and she was beaten up. And then, as you all know, that she succumbed to her wounds a couple of days later, and she. On the question around how much does it cost a city to have these independent contractors? Remember, these are the independent contractors with the city, so they themselves are not governed by a framework similar to our employees, so they were free to work. So there's no additional amount that was paid to them other than what they are contracted to do. Of course, it means that if they are expected to work 10 hours in 2 days, it meant that that figure had to be doubled per day, because they were doing the work that would ordinarily be done by our employees. That is an additional cost that I'm not able to share right now in terms of the rents and cents. So it's not like we went out and looked for new people on a totally new cost. We are working with people that are already part of the system. Of course, the more you work with them, it means that they are working additional hours. That is what they will charge. Then there is the capacity of police services to respond to protest, and why these policemen are not helping during service delivery. I think this point probably did not come out as clearly as it should have. Our police men and women have worked tirelessly. In actual fact, the semblance of cleanliness that you see in some parts is due to the fact that the police have used their vehicles, their box trucks. They have accompanied the refuse compactors. They have secured some of our backwater installation. These private contractors, when they go to do the switching on of electricity. So what we are saying is that the situation could have been worse if the police did not play their part. So, of course, when there are protests, the police also have to respond. We can't have a situation where we are saying, no, they can't respond to protests, but they must escort vehicles to provide services. They're doing both, but they really have helped a lot. I don't think it is correct to say the court interdict was the basis on which we moved on to commence with the disciplinary process and the ongoing dismissal that we are doing, particularly where it was ignored. So my team are also sharing with me that when we started to send ultimatums to the teams to go back to work, there was a slight percentage increase in people that came to the depots. The only difference was that upon arrival there, they started saying they can't go out, they feel unsafe, and they felt that when we have provided escort for them to go to sites, but we can't secure their safety when they go to their individual homes. So I'm giving you this detail to say that the court interdict was the basis upon which we started action, consequence management, and the dismissals that we are beginning to see taking place across the city. Then the issue of what is the impact of the strike on the mayor, so that Uba Mayor is going to respond to. But I just want to respond specifically to the issue of a rebate for the waste that has not been collected. We are basically still going to decide on the way forward for that, but also bearing in mind that the charge for refuse does not only cover the actual collection, but there are certain costs involved. The cost of the landfill site, the maintenance of the site, the security issues. So it's too early for now to say it's just going to be 100% a rebate, but we are definitely going to look into that. But also taking into account that the city has also allowed the members of the public to use our landfill sites free of charge to dispose of their waste. But as a caring city, we are definitely going to look at a possibility of rebating a portion of the cost that they have. But we are not in a position to announce it now at this stage because we are still working out the figures. Makanya, do you want to report on the outsourcing to area-based companies?
The damages to some, how much they also ask.
I've responded, but I said it's 10 million.
Please let me know if you want me to repeat the question.
Maybe
Yes.
a question.
Okay, that's, sorry, my handwriting is awful, so let me. All right, so the DSW strike has now become an annual, sometimes biannual event. Every time the results are the same, trash is upturned, waste is not collected, workers are threatened. Do you think it is not time to clearly a corrupt organization, as the court case against former Mayor Zandile Gumeli has shown? The Municipal Systems Act allows for this to be contracted out to service providers such as area-based non-profit companies.
Thank you. Maybe let me start with the nature of CSW. Just remember that the CSW is more labor intensive. Probably that's a rationale behind it to us in the most strike. It was comparative. I'm responsible, I was supposed to start by saying I'm Sibusiso Makaya, Deputy City Manager, responsible for water, sanitation, electricity, and CSW. Yes, it is indeed true if we were to compare between these three units that I've just counted in that. Yes, there are more strikes. There tend to be more strikes in CSW. But as well, if you compare CSW to with electricity and water, the CSW is more labor intensive. So if we were to analyze it very correctly, to a better degree, the workers there to a better degree are more unskilled and more at that level. So which probably is the reason behind the number of the strike. There've been probably, it's not a question that you ask, there have been a number of actions that have been taken over the period of time to the striking workers. Ever since I joined the organization, they've received some warnings and all of that. Some of them fired due to those strike actions. Maybe going back to the question that you are asking in terms of considering other options, maybe it's important to note that at the moment it's not completely in-source. Actually, there are three type of mechanism of dealing with waste. The first one is in-sourcing. It is in-sourced basically to a greater degree to some of our suburbs and townships. In terms of the informal areas and some of the township, we are using contractors. In formal areas, we are piloting using the locally based community organization. It is important to note that the legislation does not necessarily say just outsource it. It says analyze which is most cost effective. Because that was taken by this municipality, I think almost 4 years ago in Mlazi, to in-source rather than outsource at that point in time. That was the best decision. If you can drive around, let's leave the issue of the strike at the moment. If you drive around in Mlazi is far better than what it was when it was outsourced. And as well, you must remember the grass always looks greener when we are on this side. Some of the challenges that we are currently facing with outsourced services, it ranges from some of the dams. We believe that some of them are caused by these small companies that dump all over the show. There is a lack of supervision. Even their trucks, they are questionable. In fact, we believe that in some of the instances they are involved in actually creating this dump site. Most of the time, we ended up supplementing their services because at the end of the day, we are accountable. So it's important to balance between all those options. But yes, it is true, the legislation allows for the process of assessing. Currently piloting, particularly in informal areas, the community-based initiative in informal areas. I hope I've covered that well, City Manager.
Yeah, just close that. I think your preamble to the question requires a response. But employees at CSW are part of a criminal organization. That is a problematic assertion. We understand that there were allegations of fraud and corruption pertaining to waste. The jury is yet to be out about whether those individuals were indeed guilty of anything. So it won't be appropriate for us who are outside of that process to begin to finger all 3,600 employees at CSW as part of a criminal syndicate. That will be terribly unfair, and I think we need to correct it. I thank you very much, Madam.
Yeah, I thought I'll cover it, but thank you that you have covered it, City Manager. Even my predecessor, whenever you make the assertions, you need to be careful that it is alleged corruption. It can't be that corrupt Zandile Kumete. No, it's unacceptable in this constitutional society that we live in. So everyone has got a right to remain innocent until proven otherwise. So we need to respect those laws that govern all of us. The issue that I want to, yes, it's going to have political impact because we are already starting to see some opportunistic political organizations who want to capitalize on this, who want to fuel this strike so that they prolong it up until the 29th of May. And it's going to pain them that we are putting this to an end because they were really 9th of May. So we are going to be working with all the stakeholders to restore law and order, to ensure that there is stability in the city, things go back to normalcy, and we recognize that organized labor is a very important stakeholder for us in governing the city. Of course, we must draw the line where we need to be working together to build this city, but each and every partner has got his or her role to play in this whole thing that we are governing. They must also accept that they are employees of the municipality who must be binded by all the legislative framework that guides their behavior when they are at a workplace. Yes, I agree with you that this has become a culture that annually, whenever when we approach elections, the reason why we are acting decisive is because we want to kill that culture. The culture that you want for this city is a culture that recognizes that citizens of eThekwini, they expect nothing less than what they must get in terms of service, of quality services that we are obligated as a city to provide to them without any disruptions, and we can't become a lawless city. We need to recognize that there are laws that govern all of us. The Constitution recognizes everyone's rights, but no one is above the law that must only recognize his or her rights and also support rights of other people to have access to basic services and other services that the city needs to render to its citizens. Of course, looking at the refuse, we are also looking at involving communities themselves. As DCM alluded to that fact, where you just recruit a group of community and you say for a period of a year or of 2 years, you are going to be assisting us in your own locality to collect refuse, and this is how we are going to compensate you instead of employing you to become an employee of the municipality. So our laws allows for all that to happen. In some instances, we are also working with the UIPs to ensure that in some areas in the city, they also play a role in keeping the city clean and also restoring law and order in some of the areas where we are working. So those are the interventions. Of course, we are looking forward now. We want to close the picture so that we open a new chapter, and that new chapter is a chapter that will instill a culture in the municipality of high respect for human rights, a culture which recognizes the Bill of Rights that everyone has got a right to life. No one needs to be killed or needs to be Babunza.
There's one critical point that I believe I must make now, seeing that the line of questions have been more on solid waste management in the city. It is important to highlight this as a matter of fact, that the turnaround strategy that has been brought about in the CSW unit has yielded some positive results. That was prior to the illegal strike. This we know because we monitor the call logs, social media comments, input from the community, generally concerns about the state of cleanliness of the city had died down. This is as a result of a very clear turnaround strategy that was put in place, which had started yielding some positive results. It's a 3 to 5 year strategy, but with some short-term interventions that were beginning to show some results. We no longer have much concerns. Concerns had moved to water and sanitation and electricity in the main as a result of what all of you already know, the aging infrastructure, issues of the floods that have impacted on the frame infrastructure. But on solid waste, we believe that we are still on the right course. As soon as we eliminate these challenges that are brought about by will still be on a very good recovery course because of that particular strategy, which is already showing some results. Thanks, Mlu.
All right, because of the media outage, the last round, that will be the last 3 hands, fourth one. So I'll start from this side as it goes to that side, completely around.
Right, that's more details on that agreement that was reached between the two parties, namely the city and KSAM. Were you able to miss the agreement? Thanks.
Thank you. Right.
Because you got agreement from Ministry 4. I also want to follow up on this question regarding something because things that the strike in itself, as it started, it was legal. So why would the city engage in what is called negotiations? Is that the right framing of what has been happening? And if so, can you question, well, the outcome of those engagements? I think maybe there's an easier one to use between SAMU and the union. Clarity on the workers. 88 have been fired and 1,891 have been given notices of misconduct. What was the difference that was applied to this? Because it sounds to me now is that some were just dismissed on the spot, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So the process that led to was the dismissal of the city manager. There's been so many things that have been said about you regarding the administration of the city. I mean, the last one we heard yesterday from the EFF here in KZN. You've been called incompetent, failing to lead the city, and that the city is collapsing under your watch. Are you able to give us your response based on what has been said, particularly about you?
Thank you.
Yeah, just to follow up on what Corsi said, I think we're all in agreement there. So you are going to be filing a civil case against SAMU. There are criminal acts that have taken place, and yet you are still capitulating. So why are you negotiating with people who have perpetrated criminal acts and who you are suing? Is this not a very soft approach? And then secondly, there's a saying that poor quality of workmanship and execution cannot be blamed on the workers, but rests with management. And don't you think it is time that senior management are held to a higher standard of public oversight in this municipality? It's all good and well to blame the workers, but who's supposed to be looking after them? That'll rest with you. And will the city commit to making all performance scorecards of Section 57 employees, such as the MM, public? Thank you.
Thank you. And the last question,
we do understand that 13 of your workers are appeared at the magistrates court and were given bail in 2020. Looking at the number that you mentioned, I'd like to know, are we likely to see more of their colleagues joining the cleaning and there be more arrests in this regard? And also there's been a general perception that under your administration, this municipality has seen a lot of failures, and this comes from various political parties, which I held a ticket at the Human Rights Commission asking things like water license, stripped, oil removal as well. Yesterday, like my colleague Oscar Duma alluded, we saw the EFF having a meeting. We also spoke to members of the media outside. They claim your administration and you particularly have failed to run the city. This morning, they embarked on a cleaning spree or a cleaning campaign in parts of the CBD, referring to you and the municipal manager that your administration has totally failed in this sense. How do you respond to those utterances? But also seeing a political party embarking in such a way the municipality has resources, does anything speak to you having failed?
All right, thank you. It was the last question.
No, thank you very much. The mere fact that people have embarked on an illegal strike doesn't mean that we mustn't enter into negotiations with them on an ongoing basis. Otherwise, then it would mean that we are in a war zone where there is no possibility for any conflict to be resolved through a dialogue. Of course, when we dialogue, we always ensure that those discussions are without prejudice, particularly on matters that are sub judice. So there's nothing that really stops the city from engaging with its employees. Because remember, some are city employees, but they are affiliated to a labor union called SAM. So you will never ever have a situation where you're working on a consequence management issue with them, you are taking them to court, civil litigation against them. All those things will need to continue. Particularly because the relationship between employer and the employee is held sacrosanctly by us here in this place. So we always respect about conditions of the employees that they represent. So the environment does allow for that. That's why we are always open and amenable to discussing with them on a wide range of issues. There's no agreement that one can say it's an agreement reached. The matter on the table that had made them take to the streets in the first place is still a subject of discussion at the national bargaining level. So it's a national competency. We have always argued that that matter cannot be localized just like that. Particularly when we have had two court cases directly against us. The labor unions won court cases against us where we have taken a national bargaining matter and we have discussed it locally and we were found against by a competent court of law. Other municipalities have done it and they are living with consequences for that. And we were saying we don't want to follow blindly a process that has been followed by other municipalities, even if there are clear indications that it might not work for this context of eThekwini, a municipality. So what the Minister of COGTA nationally has brokered was an agreement to say that within 14 days we must have done a benchmark with those municipalities that have done it, but notwithstanding the parameters that are there, that this is a matter of national bargaining. But we will continue to engage in discussion with them, and out of that, what one might call truce, for a lack of a better word, brokered by the national minister, the workers have agreed to go back to work, and we are seeing already, as you can see, there are trucks, NDM trucks across the city that are starting to work, although we don't have the full strength yet. So we have agreed that we are going to continue to engage. There are discussions with them where they request us to reconsider some of the positions that we have, and we will continue to engage for the next 30. I won't be able to say there's anyone that has specifically won anything. There was nothing to be won in the first place. It was just a question of this city have suffered for so long whilst we are busy engaging in a dialogue, but we must create a space for services to resume in the city. That is what exactly has happened. The deadline by which all services should be back fully, I think in has raised, he has given a 2 weeks for us to remain to a desirable state for provision of services. It can be done earlier than that, but what we are saying is that we don't want to under-promise or over-promise and under-deliver, given the fact that there's so much recovery work or restoration work that needs to be done. So we feel that 2 weeks is a comfortable cushion for us to be able to do that. For Duma, I think I've partially responded to your question when you're saying, why are we continuing to engage with them or getting in negotiations with them when they are on strike? I think I've responded. That was my first response, to basically say that there's nothing that says thou shalt not engage with people who are striking, albeit illegally, that you have to find a dialogue to the challenges. Let me just explain this. There are 79 employees who had been identified through CCTV footage, who were the drivers of some of the vehicles that were used to blockade the roads, who were involved in beating up employees. That's why the mayor spoke about different cases of assaults that have been opened, who have trashed infrastructure, who have prevented or forcefully stopped other employees from going about doing their work. All those things that are illegal. So some of them are the ones that were in court today who are out on bail. There's a possibility that the police will still be able to arrest some, but I don't want to speak on behalf of the police because the figure was bigger than that, 79. So that is the situation with regards to those who were found engaging in open antisocial behavior, such as the damage of infrastructure and what have you. What we are also pursuing is a process of dismissal of those employees that have not heeded the call to be back to work by a specific time. Now, the letters themselves, without giving much detail, because it's the subject of the dialogue as well, the letters do give people 7 days by which to make representations, right? And the question might be, why did you start by dismissing instead of seeking for representations? Generally speaking, you must understand that the nature of the turmoil left us with no option but to activate a clause in the legislation that allows for dispensing with the pre-dismissal procedures when there are exceptional circumstances. I'm sure any reasonable person would agree with me that it is exceptional that you have hospitals having to close off just because people are disrupting services. You've got a family that has lost their loved one as a result of this. You've got cases of intimidation where people were chased out of clinics. You've got attacks with an intention to cause grievous bodily harm, cases that we are dealing with. You've got issues now of litigation even against the city from ordinary residents as a result of being exposed to an unhealthy environment. You also have a possibility of a spiraling protest, as you can see, because people are frustrated. So if you have people who are part of the system that really are failing to see the kind of harm that they are causing to the community. As Bob Mayor was saying, we are government, we subscribe to the vision of this city, which all these employees sign on. They sign on a vision that this city will be the most caring and livable city. Are they living up to that? Which any civilized society can tolerate acts of violence, intimidation against ordinary law-abiding citizens of eThekwini? Surely anybody who thinks that we are not fair, we really have to reconsider. People are fighting for their lives in hospital. They were doing what they signed up for, which is the service of the people of eThekwini. What must we then do? Must we then say, no, it's fine, we are talking, let's wait for it, we will see what happens? What if the problem recurs in a couple of months' time? As we have rightly said, that this thing has always been the order of the day. And if the government doesn't signal seriousness about uprooting this erratic behavior, there will be no city in some few months' time. So we therefore believe that we are on the right course with what we've done, but we are going to continue to engage, but we have followed the law to the T insofar as dispensing with the pre-dismissal requirements. Let me come to the question of okay, so I've covered you when you said we are capitulating by renegotiating with them, so we've dealt with that. I want to club together the question about the management being held to a higher standard of oversight instead of blaming workers, and the issue of some people saying the city manager is incompetent. You know, I generally don't respond to such things necessarily, because people who make these comments are people that I've met less than 4 or 5 times in my life, actually. Some of them I hardly ever meet them on a monthly basis, right? So if somebody has to go to public and make a statement of that nature, city manager is incompetent, city manager is arrogant, city manager is this and that, they must go to my contract of employment that I've signed with the city. And then for them to be able to make that comment, they must go there and be able to see what performance targets I've signed up with this institution, what is my performance against those particular targets, before they go to the public and make comments of that nature. It's a silly season, it's the election time. Everybody knows that people are scrambling for things to say that are negative. Unfortunately, others have opted to attack officials purely based on lies. So I'm trying that thing which is really clearly nonsensical, and I'm not going to entertain any further. We have independent performance contracts here that we use to monitor performance. So we do subject our senior what we've done. So we are taking full responsibility for what is being done by our employees in the form of this unprotected strike, the responsibility for the impact that is happening on our people. We didn't ask them to go there, but that's why we have been working flat out throughout the night. Some of these deputy city managers have spent sleepless nights engaging volunteers, directing them where to work, and getting as far as possible everybody to come in and be part of the solution. So we are not perfect. Like any other employee, we can never be 100%, but I don't believe that we are not held to a higher standard of oversight. The leadership here does that on an ongoing basis on us. And generally, without hiding behind the factors which are there for everybody to see, that we've had the West floods in short succession. We are part of a post-apartheid city where infrastructure upgrade has left behind over the last 30 years because there was a constant, a noble position to say that let us ensure that there is coverage to ensure that people get water, sanitation services, refuse removal. Unwittingly, like any other post-apartheid city, we never 100% focus on upgrading infrastructure in the urban core. As a result, infrastructure has been very frail, but we are engaging in processes to upgrade it. So if you take those factors into consideration, you would agree with me that it's not only and entirely the issue of the incompetence of management or a lack of oversight being done by us or being done by question on whether will we make a performance scorecard available to the public. You must read the annual report. 71 reports, which are monthly financial reporting. That information is there about the performance and the views of Auditor General insofar as that performance is concerned. So I don't know what more public must we go separately as eThekwini City, because I think all cities do it like that. So I'm not sure if there should be a separate mechanism for eThekwini to go and paste them on the first page of the local newspaper. If that is the suggestion, we will listen to it. 13 workers appeared in Durban Magistrate Courts. Will there be more? I think I've responded to that. I want to hand over to the mayor to respond. Yeah, maybe I'll also give it. Yes.
CC manager, just for clarity, you explained the 88 workers were fired and 81 were suspended, but the 1,891 is not clear. Were they given these notices just because they stayed away from work? Is that it?
Yeah. The number 88 is the number of people that have been served with the dismissal letter out of a bigger number. So that is what has happened. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I was introduced earlier. I wanted to save the mayor from responding to the question. Whatever he says, it would be as if it's blowing his own horn. Look, it would be unfair for anyone to accuse the mayor of failing when the mayor is not the only one who's leading this city. The city is being led by the executive committee and a host of 222 councillors. We must then take responsibility for everything that is happening to the city. Although the mayor is the head and the face of that, but we all have our own areas where we need to then assist the mayor. Look, I don't know who we are comparing, which mayor we are comparing this mayor to. Our municipality our metro is unique in that we are the only metro in this entire South Africa which is not led by an executive mayor, by a community system which is allowed by the legislation. It's a product of compromise, really. And that means there's nowhere where this position. There is no report that the mayor receives in isolation of the opposition parties. Let me maybe clarify this issue further so that you understand. In municipalities where there's an executive mayoral system, the mayor selects his own mayor, mostly from his own party or the parties that agree with him. And then they receive reports from the officials, they take decisions, they discuss those reports, they take decisions. What gets to the outside, what gets to the media, what gets to the community is outcomes of those meetings. In our case, when our executive committee is sitting, we have 3 DA councillors, we have 1 EFF councillor, we have 1 IFP councillor, and then we have the seats for the ANC. So when we receive reports, in the process of analyzing and critiquing those reports, the opposition is already sending you leaking those reports to you. So the mayor does not get an opportunity to critique the report, send the city manager back to say come back with a better report than all of that. So he's always on the back foot, and you are not doing him any favors as well by comparing him to situations that don't exist. I think maybe I would say the universe conspired against the mayor. Someone said we don't lead under conditions of our own choosing. So you struggle against and you make means of what you find. When the mayor came here, we were in the process of recovering from the floods. Immediately when he came, there was COVID. Immediately after that, there was the unrest that we've never seen. There's no other mayor in South Africa who's dealt with that level of the destruction and disruption of the economy, socially, and all aspects of life in the city. Now, you've seen the destruction, but what it means in economic terms to the city, maybe we have not spent time dealing with that. It means that the revenue base of the city was eroded to a point where starting afresh and moving forward was close to a miracle. Because we rely on these malls which were to generate our revenue. We rely on these big industries that were destroyed. We rely on these businesses and these communities to bring forward the revenue that we then take forward. So all our plans in terms of the IDP and all of that were disrupted. But we recovered from that. Immediately after that, we had the floods. Immediately after that, we had other floods. So I think it's through his leadership, the leadership of Mayor Kaunda, that we have a city to speak of in the first place. He inspired enough confidence among business owners to reinvest in this. This city was a ghost. If you were here during the first day after the protest, the city was a ghost. It was a ghost town. But he inspired confidence, he came up with a plan, he led from the front, and there's reinvestment in the city, there's confidence that is back, and we are moving forward. Now, that does not mean that we must not then criticize when the mayor is not leading or we are not leading. But it means we must cut him a bit of a slack in going forward so that when we are criticizing, we understand the context under which we are criticizing. So, as far as we are concerned, the mayor is doing a great work. But the opposition, it's the citizens in every, as we said, the opposition will be trying everything to undermine the work that is being done, and we are all canvassing for votes. So we are in power, so we'll be the ones that are going to be criticized by people who have not done anything, who want you to parrot their stories so that they get the votes. But as far as we are concerned, and the citizens of the city, if they are fair, the mayor has fared very well, in fact, under the conditions that we've been under. So let me end there. Maybe lastly, let me join the mayor and everyone else who have sent words of condolences to the family, the Gunene family, and wish a speedy recovery to those who are still in hospital and those who are recovering at home, who are victims of this situation we've all found ourselves in. Thank you.
No, I'm sorry, business confidence is very low. What you're saying is absolutely not correct. Business confidence in the city is incredibly low. Your business confidence index itself shows that. And it's dropping every year. No, but that's a lie. That's a blatant lie.
Can I take over now? Because we're going to ask you a question.
Maybe she wants to have her own
All I ask is one question.
No, I want honesty and transparency. I think all residents.
Let me join Councillor Madlala and Mr. Ntsele, because I think he has covered all the issues, and I think he has put things into clear perspective. We know there are those who may not be happy because by virtue of being us leading this city, when they look at us, they think we are failures. Everything that is done by an African sometimes in this country is viewed as a failure. So we understand those issues, but let me just give you elements to support what Councillor Madlala said. This city is counted among the 3 best metros in the Republic of South Africa in terms of financial sustainability. What I'm saying, go and check with National Treasure, because you'll never believe me. Go and check with National Treasure. Where are we seated? Where are we being rated as a city? Supersedes even some of the departments and the municipalities in this country, this credit status that we have as a city. So we are also leading in terms of some of the technology. You know, we've just been robbed of one of our employees in the strategy office because he developed an app. That app is assisting us to profile the migration that is happening in the city, to ascertain that we know who is here, and this is the only one that is existing in the country. So that is why it's now in the National Court to implement the very same app. This is the city I'm talking about. This is the city that is leading in terms of water recycling, especially grey water. You can go to all other cities. They want to come and learn from us. How do you recycle the grey water to repurpose it so that industries like Mondi, they utilize that water instead of clean water. This is the city that is leading. We also have a desalination, a small plant, which is also assisting us to identify another source of water. We are 2 successful public entities. The first one is Inkosi Albert Luthuli International Convention Center, which have been winning awards internationally for being the international events and the major conferences in Africa. So those are the accolades. We are not talking about things that we are still dreaming to attain as a city. Those 2 entities, they've obtained clean audits. This city has never regressed to anything below unqualified audit opinion, which we are presiding over. You may not like to hear it, but it is the truth. Unqualified opinion, people take it with English, literal English, and say, if you receive qualified, you are good. If you receive unqualified, you are bad. So attaining unqualified audit opinion, we have never regressed. It shows that we know what we are doing in terms of good governance and good administration. Yes, there are shortcomings because there is no government. Other people have been talking more, and even your good self has made their houses. You've been exposing us more on the sewer leakage. But one city last December was really struggling with sewer leaks. And that city, you don't take your time and spend months and months talking about it. You just hide it, you don't talk about it. I don't want to mention it, you know it. It was struggling in the summer holidays. Invested in its infrastructure as we speak. We'd like to take you on site and visit Northern Works, where we are upgrading our wastewater treatment plant with 500 million rand. The contract is on the ground. We'd like to take you to Hammersdale, which also accommodates and caters for the industries and residential. We have invested 260 million rand. We'd like to take you to Ohlange Pump Station, which have been giving us problems, contaminating Umhlanga Beach. We'd like to take you there. It's being upgraded. So it tells you that the city is responsive to the challenges. Yes, of course, the aging infrastructure is a global phenomenon. It's not something that is facing this city. I've been visiting other cities in the world, Copenhagen and other cities. They are also experiencing the same challenge of aging infrastructure. It's not only South Africa that is faced with that, but we need to invest more resources to deal with maintenance and our infrastructure. So I just wanted to count the few of our successes as a city, and we are proud of ourselves that the 2 entities I spoke about, Shaka Marine and Inkosi Albert Luthuli International Convention Center, are 100% owned by this city. 100% owned by this city, but they are performing very well. So it tells you that good governance is something that we are executing. Of course, We want to be more responsive. You can even do your own homework and compare municipalities in terms of converting gravel roads to blacktop roads or to surface roads. Come and tell us which municipality is leading in terms of kilometers of roads that we do annually to surface, convert them from gravel to surface road. The confidence of business. Businesses, they have their direct interest in what the city is doing. The fact that Toyota still remain in this city, it shows confidence, business confidence. Because after the floods, they went back to the airport in Japan to report what transpired in eThekwini, and the report they gave there was giving full confidence and the hope that the city is responsive and the provincial government and Sanral is responsive to their needs. So that is why they are still here. So you can go and ask them if they are happy to be here in Durban. They are still happy. We met with them 3 weeks ago. They are still expressing that happiness. Yes, other businesses have got their own challenges that they are experiencing, but the city has also plugged in the system where we are able to service these businesses. That is why you can count the number of catalytic projects in this city. They are increasing. There's new investment that is also coming, the Beachwood development, whilst we have the brickworks. We've unveiled the brickworks, more than 2 billion investments, and many other developments. You talk about Giba Gorge business estate. It is under construction as we speak. That shows confidence. You can't invest in an area where you don't have confidence in. So the reason why they are investing in Durban is because they have full confidence that yes, there are challenges in this city, and the city have been visited by all these catastrophic incidents, but we continue to survive. The resilience of people of eThekwini and its business will take us somewhere. So really, the investments are still coming in this city. We'll be unveiling others very soon. We'll call you to showcase that people have got confidence in this city. Your Spire developments are continuing, and other developments that will be yielding more jobs for the youth of this city and the members of the public and economic opportunities. So with that, we are confident that yes, there are challenges in this city, but we'll take you through as well in terms of how the rapid urbanization affects cities like ours. When you look for a job, when you look for economic opportunities, there are 2 cities in this country where you run to. That is Johannesburg and eThekwini. Why? You know why? It's because these are the cities where the economic activities are concentrated. So that is why they come here. That is why we are the second biggest economy after Johannesburg, because people come here. So with all that, having acknowledged all those factors, you then need to put your inner city regeneration program in motion to regenerate the city. That is why the malls like your The Wheel, they've changed to China's Mall, and we are changing. We are attending to that, because you can't keep such a China's Mall in a prime land like that, in that road there next to the beach. So we need to have a real mall there. So those are the strides that we are putting. We have invested so much, more than 280 million rands we have invested in this CPD to deal with bulk water pipes, bulk electricity, bulk sewage pipes here in this CPD. People were unable to walk freely here because we are investing money. We have just dealt with the outer part of the outer bound of M4. We've completed that. We'll be dealing with the inbound now, which comes to the city. So because we are making serious investments to showcase that the city means business. Always welcome to critique us as leaders. That is the role of the members of the public, that they must critique the leadership. Any leader who does not accept criticism, that leader will never grow, because you need to be criticized and you need to accept that criticism, but as long as it is a fair criticism, not a criticism which is unjust, which is just for politicking purposes and all of that. So we'll always accept criticism, but we'll grow this city and leave it to where it's supposed to be when we leave it. Thank you.
Just one last one. As they say, don't let a good press briefing go begging. I think I must just say this because I don't know when will it be raised again. You see, when Councillor Madlala speaks about business confidence, he is not lying, and I'm not obliged to explain any further. The mayor has just spoken to those. I just want to raise something with clear figures, right? As we speak, colleagues, in this city, we've got 120 billion rands worth of investment on the ground. That has happened over the last 2 years. And I can tell you clearly that we have now 40 billion rands. Isibaya development still expanding. When it is complete, that is the value of the entire project. You've got 5 billion rands in the oceans development with the expansion now into the residential block. It's still going on. You've got 11 billion rands Avoca node. Last 2 weeks we went and we launched one of the biggest take-a-lot warehousing facility in that particular node, right? It's in keeping with our plan of intensifying developments along major corridors and nodes. Then we have 15 billion rands West Town. As you drive wherever you are driving, just go up there and check what is happening next to Shongweni horse racing. That particular development there. You've got a mixed-use development that is taking place there. When it's complete, it's 15 billion rands. I'm not talking about plans, colleagues. I'm talking about developments that are taking place now on the ground. You go to Giba Gorge at 15 billion rands. You go to Keystone Precinct, right, which we launched some 3-4 years ago. It's still continuing. You get new investment into that particular precinct. You've got 8 billion rands worth of developments in Whetstone. You've got 30 billion rands in the Dube Trade Port. So if the business confidence is low, would you really have people as reputable as Investec coming in to invest in a city like this, borrowing properties, investing in a city like this? So we are going, and at that breath of that breath, I understand where it comes from. But we are going to engage in the future with these research before they are publicized. So it would be foolhardy for me now to disown it because some of our people were consulted in the process of developing them, which came to that conclusion, to that unfortunate conclusion. But in the future, we are going to engage better to ensure that the selection of population, the analysis of results, we are participating in it. But all what we are doing here is to show that this is the destination of the future, and there are still more investments that are coming, but we are going to call another press briefing to share with you. Thank you very much, Bob Mayor.
Thank you.
On that business confidence note, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Hey, support you, Mr. Oh, you're on. Hey, okay, but.
Ngisilabe ngekhozoyenza bazamile ukungifonela kodwa ngensuku ile nto mina ngiyabi terms of lamaleko
Oh, namote ade ngibona la umana tu ifake ngibone kumpilo